All right, guys, let's get started here. Welcome, everyone, to a special HauteSpot webinar. Today we have myself, Michael Barron, the Director of Technical Sales here at HauteSpot, and Mr. Diego Simkin, the Technology Partner Manager for Arecont. This will be a two-part presentation with myself and then Diego following up. Should run about 30 to 40 minutes. I will be discussing some key reasons why Arecont and HauteSpot make a winning combination for both integrators and users alike. Then Diego will close us out with the value proposition of Megapixel Video, and then introduce some awesome new Arecont products soon to be released. Just to reiterate, we will have a poll at the end. If you answer those greatly help us. And you could also ask questions. Just type them in at that question section to the right-hand command side, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end. So let's go ahead and get started here. Here's a fun fact. Do you know that the majority of HauteSpot customers choose Arecont Vision cameras? Today, we're here to shed some light on just why that is. And to do so, let's start first by identifying the applications that our customers utilize HauteSpot products for. We find that these days, security engineers are specifying cameras where they need to be and not just where they are able to be as constrained by a wired network. And this is most likely due because cameras or customers have the benefits that security cameras have to offer and want to be able to extend that capability to other problem areas such as to theft in parking lots or for perimeter intrusion detection. And as a result of this, what we see are two constraints. The first is the inability for the integrator to run wire out to the camera, either because it would cost too much to trench or because the distance between the camera and the NVR is too great for Ethernet standards. Second, remote locations often lack the availability of power. This brings us to our first example of how Arecont and HauteSpot naturally worked well together to provide solutions for our integrator and end users. First, HauteSpot enables the customer, of course, to wirelessly bridge the gap between the remote camera and the NVR. And since all Arecont cameras are IP, there isn't a single one that we can't wirelessly transmit. And we could do so in any wireless topology, from a simple point-to-point link to a repeated or even mesh topology to solve other site constraints. So if there are multiple camera locations in one head-in, we can utilize our sectorized base station antennas, for example, to create a point-to-multipoint wireless network, which eliminates the need for a one-to-one relationship, transmitter to receiver, that some other wireless vendors require. That saves time and money on equipment installation. If we need to get around a physical obstruction, for example, we would engineer in our dual radio units and repeat around the obstruction to achieve line of sight. This technique can also be used to extend the maximum distance of a wireless camera. So we see the solution for the wiring problem, but what about the power issue? So should the camera lack power or the availability of power, our pre-sales engineers will design a solar solution to power both the wireless and IP camera equipment and any other device such as IR or heater blowers on that pole. Since Arecont cameras can be powered with a wide range of options including Class 2 PoE, 24 volts AC, and most importantly in the case of solar, 12 to 48 volts DC, Arecont cameras are a natural fit for solar power kits that come in both 12 and 24 volts DC versions. So this gives our pre-sales engineers a lot of flexibility when designing these solar installations. This leads to power efficient, low cost, easy to install solutions for both integrator and user. Here you could visually see the configuration options on one of our solar power kits, and that by utilizing that DC power to fire up the camera, you're left with an open Ethernet port and you don't need to utilize a PoE switch. On the flip side, if we did have multiple Arecont cameras on this solar job, all we need to do is add a DC PoE switch for a simple, clean solution. Another reason why Arecont cameras are a great fit with HauteSpot solar kits is that they are low power consumers. Even their integrated IR bullets come in at under 12 watts, and when it comes to solar, every single watt is crucial when designing security systems that are going to run 24/7, rain or shine. So here's a great example of a wireless solar Arecont solution. This project was installed by Precision West Technologies for the Yuba Sutter Transit Authority in Northern California. And this particular customer was having issues with vehicle break-ins at each of their 3 park and ride lots. This particular project had a trifecta of constraints. They couldn't trench from light pole to light pole. There was no central NVR anywhere close to the park and rides, and there were multiple jurisdictions with ownership over the light poles that we needed to install to. So getting power was a real problem. Luckily, we had a solution for each of these issues. We utilized our solar power kits on the remote poles that we did not have access to power on, and used our UPS, or uninterruptible power supply systems, to tap into light pole power that we did have access to. And since there was no place within miles to send the video to, we utilized our micro NVR product located in one of the UPS enclosures to record the Arecont cameras and to provide a Wi-Fi access point for the customer to then wirelessly view and download the video if an event was reported by a vehicle owner. Moving on to our next point, we know that with increased megapixels comes increased bandwidth requirements. And as Arecont continues to raise the bar in resolution, we at HauteSpot have followed suit by increasing the available throughput to be able to wirelessly transmit all those 10, 12, 20, even 40 megapixel cameras over our wireless links. And one way we have done so is with our move to standardize on MIMO wireless technology. MIMO, of course, stands for multiple input, multiple output. Essentially what that means is you have multiple wireless streams per each wireless link, which provides 3 key advantages. First, it greatly increases the link resiliency by reducing wireless fade and increasing antenna diversity. It increases the maximum leak distance, and also, and most importantly, it has quadrupled the available bandwidth in our wireless links. This translates to highly reliable wireless links with actual throughputs of over 200 megabits per second, enabling us to then now shoot more cameras with ever-increasing resolutions. As an example, this project was installed by Marco at an apartment complex in Florida, and it's a good demonstration of the capacity of our wireless links. In this particular project, the customer did not want to purchase a costly NVR system for each building, so the integrator consulted with us to design a wireless network to bridge those buildings. The solution comprised of 3 point-to-point wireless links that transmit each of the building's cameras to the head-end NVR in the management building off to the right. One wireless link is shooting 39 megapixels of video at an average of 9 frames per second, and that's made up of 2 12-megapixel 180s, 2 5-megapixel, 1 3, and 1 2 Arecont cameras. That's just in one building, one point-to-point link. In total, this project, we are shooting 113 megapixels across 3 wireless links. Here are some of the video captures from that particular project. You can see the 2 180s at the bottom, and that's just 2 of the 8 that are there, and then a couple day-night cameras at the top looking at the pool and the outside parking lot. So it's not just throughput that you need to worry about to have a successful wireless installation. You also need to have low latency wireless links to prevent video loss on the NVR due to network timing issues between the camera and the VMS. So to solve that, what you don't want to do is to use the other guy's wireless, as they are typically using 802.11 standard wireless protocols for their links. These standards rely on carrier-sense multiple access with collision avoidance, or CSMA/CA protocols. The problem with this is that it was only intended for bursty data transmission, such as surfing the internet, for example. When you start sending video over a point-to-multipoint link with IP cameras behind it, you run into wireless collisions, as this protocol has no mechanism for effectively coordinating the wireless transmitters. These wireless collisions then add up to latency on the network and potentially video loss on the NVR. That's where HauteSpot's TLP or TDMA-like protocol comes in. TLP is our proprietary wireless protocol, which gives the wireless receiver control to coordinate with the remote stations, telling them when and how much data to transmit. This coordination greatly reduces wireless collisions and ultimately reduces latency, allowing us to stream those 10, 20, 40 megapixel cameras in point-to-point, point-to-multipoint, repeated mesh topologies. So let's go over some wireless best practices real quick. If you have a project that will utilize multiple data types, such as access control data from card readers, SCADA data from industrial components, or Wi-Fi for general public internet access, you will want to combine those data types appropriately. For example, it is okay to have latency-sensitive applications on the same network as latency-tolerant applications, such as streaming IP video and access control data over the same wireless links. And we could do so because our wireless routers are already configured with QoS rules that prioritize the video traffic, ensuring that the video has the right-of-way over all other traffic. So in contrast, it's not the best idea to combine multiple latency-sensitive applications on the same wireless network. For example, you generally wouldn't want to combine video with VoIP on the same wireless links. So let's talk about network capacity. For network capacity, you have two main variables to watch for. One is the total number of cameras we can receive per wireless base station, and then the other is the total available throughput per base station. The distinction there is a difference between packets per second versus your bit rate or megabits per second. So each of these wireless topologies can support a different amount of cameras. As a rule of thumb, you could connect up to 13 cameras per base station in a point-to-point link. In a point-to-multipoint topology, you generally want to connect up to 12 cameras per base station, up to 8 cameras max to any repeater, but still up to 12 cameras per base station in that same wireless leg, and up to 8 cameras in a mesh topology. And this is independent of resolution and frame rate. We'll talk about the actual throughput later. Again, this is on a per packets per second basis. Here's a side note here. We do treat the multi-imager Areconts, the 180s, the 360s, as a 4-in-1. So count those as 4 cameras. So if you're talking about a point-to-point link, we recommend no more than 3. Let's talk about the available throughputs. You have up to 220 megabits per second for both point-to-point and point-to-multipoint topologies. The same goes for repeated topologies. However, for each additional wireless hop, you reduce your end-to-end throughput by roughly 25%. In a mesh topology, you have about 50 megabits per second of available throughput, but that is reduced roughly 50% for every wireless hop the data travels through to get to the head end. Now, if you reach the maximum amount of cameras or throughput for these topologies, you could still have cameras that need to be wirelessly transmitted. Well, that's not a problem. You just simply add more wireless base stations or mesh nodes as needed on a separate frequency to increase the total capacity. So ultimately, you can have 100-plus camera wireless installations. We just need to add the wireless equipment as necessary. So here I will quickly finish up with showing you just a small fraction of the thousands of wireless installations with HauteSpot and Arecont, so you can get a taste of the various ways you can implement our solutions. Here is a project that's implementing a Arecont 12 megapixel 180-degree camera that is locally recording to our HauteSpot Micro NVR. Now the Micro NVR has a 3G, 4G USB cell modem connected to it, providing remote connectivity for the Caltrans customer to then view the live video and recorded video. And this system, of course, is standalone, being powered by our solar kit. Here's another small installation with 3 8-megapixel 180s shooting over a lake and through some vegetation. And this is at Lake George, Minnesota. This particular application is utilizing point-to-multipoint topology. So there's one receiver at the head end across the lake, and 3 transmitters, each with one 180-degree camera on it. Here we have a larger sized implementation with 20 8-megapixel 180-degree cameras installed for the U.S. Army Special Forces at Camp McCall. They're also running access control data over the same wireless network. So we're doing a point-to-multipoint for the video, and then there is also a mesh topology for the access control, and there's also access control running over the same wireless links as the video. Similarly, Showcase Villas here in California has a similar installation with access control for entry gates and pool access on the same wireless links as 8-megapixel 180-degree cameras and bullet IRs. And here we're utilizing a combination of repeated and point-to-multipoint topologies to navigate through this apartment complex. And here are some photos of that installation. You can see the transmitters on some placed poles here. And of course the Arecont cameras, the bullet IRs being utilized there. Lastly, another large installation with Arecont and HauteSpot. This particular project had 20 8-megapixel 180s all over wireless for the Utah State Hospital in Provo. And here we're using nearly every wireless topology available to be able to weave in and out of the campus to get wireless connectivity to each camera. And here's some of the video from those 180s over wireless. With that, I will hand it off to Diego Simkin, who will take us throughout the rest of this presentation. And Diego, I don't know if we can hear you. I can't hear you personally, but let me see if I can. If you need to dial in, or you could choose to use your mic and speakers on the audio portion on the right-hand side. Let me see. Attendees can be muted. I think it wants you to dial in there, unless you have a speaker, a headphone, and mic. You're dialed in. Okay. Do you have a pin? Let me see if I could send you a pin. Go ahead and enter #89# on your phone. See if that works. Okay, there you go.
All right, there we are. Sorry. Yeah, all right, we got that sorted out.
Nice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
Okay. Thanks. So I'm Diego Simkin. I'm the Technology Partner Manager at Arecont Vision, and I'm here to talk about our product. So a little bit about the company is we were founded in 2003. We've been around for 11 years, and we are headquartered in Glendale, California, where we manufacture all of our cameras here in the U.S. A quick snapshot of our North American sales map. We have 13 direct Arecont field sales reps with additional overlays, including our VP at North American Sales, Director of Global Business Development, and Director of Strategic Accounts. This also encompasses 10 manufacturers reps. Many of these reps, also the largest ones representing HauteSpot products. So to understand Arecont Vision, you want to understand the real value proposition with megapixel resolution. So with that, the increase, oops, sorry here, get rid of this. So with increased pixels, that not only means that you have the best image quality possible, but also a much wider field of view. So what this results in is a significant reduction in cameras, fewer lenses, housings, VMS licenses, cables that need to be run, and then, of course, labor time that's involved with the installation. On the performance side, along with the return of investment, you also get, obviously some of the highest resolution cameras in the market. H.264 across all of our camera lines. Our unique 180 and 360 panoramic imaging cameras that we've been making and perfecting for many years. Our day-night cameras across all of our cameras. Our wide dynamic range, and then some new features that include our Immervision lenses that we have installed with our Megaball cameras, and then our new P-Iris telephoto Megaview 2 and Megadome 2 cameras. So here are some of the examples of the difference between an analog or standard definition IP and megapixel. As you can see here, it's much clearer. You're almost able to read what is on that computer screen. And then here's an example of WDR and why WDR is important. So if you have a strong backlit environment with a WDR camera, you get a lot more information with that feature. And then here are two examples of our panoramic cameras, one on the inside of this school cafeteria area, and then one on the outside of this street. As you can see here in one shot, you can get a lot of resolution, but also it encompasses a much wider field of view. Regarding reduction of cameras, here's another example of why switching from analog to megapixel provides a much better solution. So as you can see here, this original layout was for 24 analog cameras encompassing 8 million pixels. Over here, we were able to reduce that down to 8 cameras, but you get a much larger pixel count. And here is the ROI that comes with that. So as you can see here, the difference between the analog at that rate, you have 24 cameras. Moving on to the megapixel solution, our solution would be 8 cameras, but the real difference is the amount of pixels that you get with that installation. So Arecont Vision, we have a very robust camera family line. I'm going to run through some of these real quick. We are known for our surround video, but we also make a much larger amount of cameras out there on the market. So to start with our surround video, we make them in a variety of resolutions, 8, 12 megapixel WDR, 20 and 40 megapixel panoramics. Our Microdome is one of our newer cameras. It's the easiest camera to install on the market. Very easy to install. It also can come with audio, and it comes with outdoor or indoor installation capabilities, all the way up to 5 megapixels. The Megadome 2s now come with remote focus, remote zoom, many different features, P-Iris control, WDR, and then all of those cool features down there, which allow us to go all the way up to 10 megapixels with the majority of those features. Our Megaview 2 product now has a much stronger IR from its previous model, and on top of that, it also comes with remote focus, remote zoom now. So it's a much easier installation in the field. Our Megavideo Compact series has been updated with our new dual sensor camera. So this one on the right there is really designed for the harshest lighting environments, where it's really bright during the day and very dark during the night. And now this camera has a 3 megapixel WDR sensor and a 1.2 megapixel monochrome sensor on the other side. It now is able to dual stream. So if you wanted to run in an environment where you're capturing license plates during the day and also capturing the wide range that the 3 megapixel sensor would get during that same time frame, you can do that now. And then finally, our surround video Omni, which a lot of people are really excited about for many different reasons, but it comes in 2 different versions, our 12 megapixel WDR and our 20 megapixel version. This is exciting because this can pair very well with HauteSpot. So as you can see here, one of the examples would be an outdoor exterior area where I could point one of the sensors directly straight down and capture on the corner of a building and capture just the vertical area. And then with the other sensors, point them horizontally and capture a 270-degree field of view. So really what HauteSpot allows us to do is we can install cameras in environments that previously wouldn't have been able to do. So the Omni Camera, which is coming out very, very soon, comes in two different versions, our 12-megapixel WDR and a 20-megapixel version. And of course, the Arecont Vision has been successful definitely because of our ecosystem. So HauteSpot, as mentioned, it has allowed us to install cameras in environments that previously were too expensive to run cable through. It just wasn't an environment that was suitable to install a camera. But what HauteSpot has done is it's allowed us to install in those areas. And Arecont Vision proudly is installed in many of the well-known brands that you see here. And that is it.
Awesome. Thanks, Diego. So we'll finish up here with, we got a couple questions for y'all. Let's start with the first one. We'll launch it. Question is, what's your objective in taking this training? You got three choices there. Quicker you guys answer, and the more we answer, the better it allows us to serve you guys. It looks like most people are saying general education. About 30% are saying I'm considering offering this technology as a solution. That's good. I think we'll have another follow-up question that says if you have an immediate project. We got more than half of you voted already. 70% of you are in. See if we got a couple more answers here before we got a couple more. Good. Thank you guys for continuing to answer. And if you've answered, start formulating your questions. And if you have access to that questions bar, go ahead and type them in, and we'll go through them one by one. You could address those to either me, Mike at HauteSpot, or to Diego at Arecont. Obviously, this is a kind of a combination webinar, so if it relates to both of us, that's even the more better. Okay, let me close that one. Thank you. 3 more questions here. Sorry, we'll keep these short and sweet. How do you describe your involvement with HauteSpot? Are you a system integrator? Are you a channel partner, a solution partner, a rep, or other? Looks like most of you are system integrators. That's awesome. We definitely want to get to know you more. If you're a returning HauteSpot integrator or Arecont integrator, we thank you for your return patronage. All right, we've got 80% answered. 87. 91. All right, we'll go ahead and close that question. 2 more. Almost there. Was this presentation useful to you? Let's hope yes, or kind of. All right, half of you. We got 1 kind of. All right. Mostly everyone's saying yes, it was useful. Of course, this helps us to revamp these and make them more useful to you guys. We'll go ahead and close that one. And last question here. How did you hear about this webinar? Mostly probably from our email blasts, and hopefully those aren't too numerous, but we want to make sure you guys are getting to these. It's also an amplifier for you guys to address any concerns, comments, send us new projects our way, maybe some ideas that you had, anything. This is for a chance for us to connect to you. All right, polls are all in. We'll close that. And if we have any questions, we've got 1 here so far, but go ahead and ask your questions on that right-hand side. We have, I think I missed the optimization part. Gotcha. We could always get into further detail as far as optimizing these wireless links with Arecont cameras. Of course, there's a lot more in-depth we can get into as far as configuration. Generally, out of the box, the default configuration is going to be perfect for for wirelessly streaming these IP cameras. Again, of course, we have the QoS already established, so video is going to be top priority as far as the packets over the wireless network. You have your general rules of thumb that we went through. You want to keep it to 13 cameras maximum per base station generally, and then as you go through those different topologies, you have your 12 cameras max in a point-to-multipoint, and 8 in the mesh, etc. So those rules of thumb are good to follow as far as optimization. And if you have a particular project that needs further customization, optimization, of course, we have that 30 days free technical support after a purchase, so we can get in there remotely, evaluate your links, and help you optimize as needed. So thank you for that question, Marty. Let's see here. We got some more questions coming in. Can we do cellular, and what options? MVE, exact, embedded, milestone, etc. Okay, so on our wireless equipment, generally we're doing anywhere from 200 megahertz up to 6 gigahertz, right? And that's private wireless or unlicensed and licensed bands, right? So we have the ability to do cellular on our NVR products, right? And that can be an embedded cellular, where you just pop in a SIM card, or it could be a customer-provided USB 3G, 4G cellular modem. Or we can use our devices such as the hot mesh device as a multi-technology, multi-frequency, all-inclusive router that's doing bandwidth aggregation and link failover using cellular, and anywhere from 200 to 200 megahertz to 6 gigahertz. Awesome question. Let's see here. More or less a comment, I think. Yes, so these webinars and presentations will be available. We'll send you a link to download. I believe it's a Dropbox link, or it might be through our website. My portion was a little too fast, I guess. We realize your time is short, and so is ours. So we want to get you that information, and again, give you a forum to start thinking about our products, thinking how you can integrate them, and then ask us questions. We want to get you guys involved so you understand what the potential is with wireless, what the opportunities are, and how you can provide your customers with greater solutions. All right. Looks like those are all the questions. If we'll give it 1 minute or about 30 seconds here to see if anybody has a last-minute question. Diego, if you have any closing comments or not, feel free to give them here. We do offer training. On the website, we have videos anywhere from basic installation to more complex configuration. Of course, every router is shipped with a quick start guide, as Arecont cameras are. You have a nice little quick start guide. So we make it very easy for you guys to, right out of the box, get going and get those cameras up and get the wireless connections going so you got video at the MVR. Right, couple seconds here. We really do appreciate your time. Keep coming to these webinars. We've had a few so far. This is the first joint one with Arecont, and we hope to do many more with them. They'll also be bringing us onto their webinars coming here soon. Diego, do you want to say a little ditty about your webinars that you got going on?
Yeah, of course. So we also have our monthly. You able to hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We also have our monthly webinars the third Wednesday of every month at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So everybody's definitely welcome to join. If you aren't already signed up, you can do so on our website. And my section of our monthly webinar is our technology partners. So it's either a VMS or a storage partner, and HauteSpot will be one of the partners in the future. So feel free to sign up for the Arecont Vision monthly webinar.
Great. Thanks for that, Diego. With that, we'll conclude. Thank you guys for showing up and getting active on these, and we'll see you next time. Take care.